Hey guys, and welcome to Abyssos, the Fifth Circle. This is your continuation of the Asphodelos raid series in patch 6.2. So we're going to cover each of these bosses, go over the mechanics, and help you get through that raid. All right, guys, welcome to Abyssos, the Fifth Circle. And if you guys are wondering where that carbuncle is, well, here he is. But he's a little interesting and quite a fun fight. And the first thing you'll notice whenever you get into the room here is that the arena is a bit different. It's a little bit smaller than probably what you're used to. And he has quite a few interesting mechanics for such a small area. So starting off, he's going to run to one side here and do something called Searing Ray. Now, Searing Ray is essentially just going to blast the room that's in front of him, so you just want to run right behind him, and that pretty much deals with that mechanic pretty easily. Now, Ruby Glow, this is where he will basically put up his own little barriers, if you will, within the room. Now, you are still allowed to move back and forth between these, but they act as sort of a wall. So you'll see he's casting Searing Ray, where normally that would be a frontal attack, but since he was on one half of the walls, it then reflected it back to the area he was in. So basically, these are going to act sort of as hard walls for spells and abilities to not travel through. And you'll see this with a couple other mechanics that he does here that we will give examples for. So right here, we have some topaz crystals on the ground. Simply stand away from those as they explode. He's doing his Ruby Glow ability once again right here, which means he's going to put up these prisons. This time we have 4 quadrants to go through. And he casted his little topaz here. Now you'll see that they are like blocked, right? So you'll see that that one to my left is blocked. It's not going to enter this side. And the other one over there went on that half. So simply dodging those, no big deal. Sonical is big raid-wide AoE with minimal mitigation there. I believe we might have just had my reprisal. It looked like it took everyone to around 50%. Here we have another Searing Ray. No walls are up, which means it will just be in front of him. So just run behind him here. Followed by Crunch. Now Crunch is just that's a tank hit, more or less. I popped a 30 here. Didn't take me down too much, but if you don't use any mitigation, it will definitely hurt. Here we have another Sonical. I'm going to throw another raid-wide mitigation here, help out the healers. Now, this Acidic Slaver is basically a phase transition. This is where we will start to see some of the new interesting things that Final Fantasy is bringing to us within raid settings. Simply by, I'm not sure if this will be sort of a skippable thing or how this will work if you have to do this every time in Savage and watch this actual cutscene. Doesn't look like I can skip it in normal, even though I may have already seen it before. So that's something interesting that I guess we'll just have to sort of go through every week on farm. You'll have to watch this cutscene as we do this new platform transition change here. So now we move to our second platform where we will finish the fight here. He basically will do all the same stuff we saw before with a couple new added abilities. Now he's doing a Ruby Glow, which we've seen before right here. Making these walls for us, summoning some topaz stones as well. And if you'll notice, there is only one quadrant here that does not have a topaz stone in it. So that will be our new safe area. And this Venom Squall, you're going to almost want to stack together, is what I would recommend. Just because it seems to drop things on the ground right there, where everyone is stacked. And I would say that that's probably going to be good for like Savage Prep, because I almost imagine that the arena will be shrunk down or possibly altered to where you're going to want to stack all of those in one area and then spread after the mechanic. Then we had a group-wide stack there, followed by an AoE damage hit. So probably a pretty bad combo there. You're going to want some mitigation, some pretty big heals. Now we have this set of topaz stones, but because we are now in the acid arena, there will also be some of these acid drenched topaz stones. So you're going to have this one topaz stone here that will explode. Once that one goes away, we're then going to want to move into that area because these acidic ones are going to expand and take up most of the room here. Eventually, those will disappear, and you will then have your room back. And this is essentially his next setup, where he will show you what order he is biting all of these platforms in. So he's going to start off with that first one. And then we're going to move over to that one because it's safe. So I would recommend probably starting in the 4th bite area, and then moving to the 1st bite area. Now this will allow you to basically have enough time to move from safe zone to safe zone, because if you do unfortunately get hit by this mechanic, he basically picks you up in his mouth and he slams you down and spits you out and does pretty much one-shot damage, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Here we have our arena rooms. Looks like we have 2 topazes here. And then you'll see this one next to us just came down a little bit later. So that means that that one will eventually go off, but we need to move into this one since this one just went off. That will give us that safe zone. Another searing ray, but he took down the walls. So we need to now move behind him because he's not going to reflect that anywhere. Once again, another ruby glow. A lot of walls on this fight. There is a lot of things to pay attention to with these sort of reflect shields. Now you'll notice that there is a topaz over here, but it's reflected off. He's also searing raying, so he's going to breathe, but it's going to get reflected onto the side he's already on, so we don't need to pay attention to that. But you want to also stay away from the acidic one. So there's a lot of stuff to pay attention to right there. The safe zone is fairly forgiving. I would say that on Savage difficulty, there may be a lot less room to move around in, but that will remain to be seen. Another ruby glow right here. As we're going down to about 20%. Looks like he summoned 4 walls this time. He's summoning some topaz stones again. And we do have 2 yellow topaz stones, and there's also an acidic one way over there, so we don't want to be near that one. That's going to expand. And we also just spit on us. So again, that's why I would say be stacked, just because there's very little movement space there. So it would be very helpful if all of those pools were just stacked together. And then, of course, our party stack after we do our spreads. Sonical, another AoE. There we go. Mitigate that a little bit. Tank busters on this fight, by the way, not really a big deal. I mean, they hit for 20 or 30% of your life if you throw like a little baby cooldown. So other than that, not really anything to worry about. Here we have our quadrants again from the ruby, and it looks like, ooh, that one. All right, so this one spawned last, so we're gonna move over here. Gonna wait for all those to go off. Now we're gonna move into the safe zone. He is searing raying, took those walls down, so we need to be behind him. He's not going to reflect that. That's pretty much the fight, guys. I mean, if you can remember that basically the walls will mean reflecting of the abilities, once you figure out what the abilities do, it's fairly straightforward and fairly simple. Like I said, the only thing that I would practice, especially if you're going in maybe with your own guild group, or if you want to suggest in your party finder that people stack on the toxic. That way you have more room to spread out, less room for error on that. But overall, fun boss, pretty interesting. And we'll see what that looks like in Savage. I'm pretty excited about that one. So, until next time, guys, take care.